We're going to ride on board with Joey Haynes right here, our current leader. It's all going to unfold right in front of him.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. It's like a video game. Well, I mean, I say that, but you know what I mean. It's just zipping past cars. It's like he's playing some arcade game there and just blasting past them one after another as they all wreck around him.
I mentioned how aggressive Hovdahl was through the GTO traffic on the lap before, and here he's going to try to go around the outside, which he's already in the dirty air, and just barely hangs on to it. Bill with another poor exit out of turn one. You got to think the over-under has got to be coming at some point, but no. Neil Kemp's going to try the long way around turn two. What a battle here for the sixth place position. Neil Kemp has half a car over Bill Tyler, but they're going to take it side by side into the short break zone. This could be disaster right here, but Bill Tyler thankfully backs out of it.
Will he get both of these spots, or will it be Kimo or Gernot through the first corner, out of that one, and now it's going to be 3 wide as they come up to the next braking zone.
Watch Leno right here. He's going to have the best draft off the back of Kimo, but Gernot's going to take it wide around the outside. He's going to have great traction coming off of this corner.
Who's going to get the exit? That's going to be so critical. Oh, no, banging wheels.
We're almost to that point. Antonio Alvarez is 5 seconds back, so it's only going to be 4 cars. But my goodness, it's a 4-car fight now for the 7th position.
Oh no, this is too wide through the chicane. This doesn't work well. Fabian Jungbluth is going to have to take a course cut. That's going to be a slowdown penalty. Aitor Sintes Galindo keeps on rocking. That's going to be Xavier Sanchez and Ross Banfield now taking it too wide on Aitor Sintes Galindo. He doesn't have a time to breathe out there.
Nobody has a time to breathe. Sintes Galindo fighting off the battle from Jungbluth. Now he's under pressure from Banfield. Xavier Sanchez looking on in the back, and Jungbluth is now caught up because of these guys going too wide. Everyone's a little slower right now. They've lost a full 1.5 seconds to Antonio Alvarez. Now it's almost going to be 3 wide into the braking zone for the next right-hander. And they make a little contact.
Just a little bit of contact puts two wheels of Banfield out on the dirt, and the defense of Aitor Sintes Galindo write this down. This is one for the ages, folks. He is still in that 7th position.
Mid-Ohio's Crazy Racing leaves Johnson leading the points by the tiniest of margins. But while track position is king at Mid-Ohio, here in Watkins Glen, it'll be all about setting up that slipstream. And for Leighton, that means he needs to shake his chasers, and fast. Can he run away, or will Chinichi keep a tight leash? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch Round 8 of the Porsche Owners Club Series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is DJ Clark. Behind the scenes is our director, Zach Johnson, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Watkins Glen is wildly popular with drivers and fans, so for the uninitiated, let's head to our track guide to learn more. Welcome to Watkins Glen International. Situated in upstate New York, just south of the Finger Lakes, this track has seen it all. Few road circuits can boast hosting Formula One, IndyCar, NASCAR, and IMSA during its history. Though it did have a brief fallow period in the early 80s, thanks to the investment of local companies, it's grown into one of the premier road tracks in the U.S. With 4 layouts to choose from that range between 2.5 and 3.5 miles in length, lap times can vary greatly. But it also means it's suitable for lots of different levels of racing, from amateur to pro. The one thing that stays consistent no matter which car and which layout you're using is that Watkins Glen means speed. Many of the straights are very long, and the majority of the corners are fast sweepers. Some of them include a surprising amount of banking as well. Combine that with the proximity of the barriers, and this historic circuit retains a very old-school feel. Drivers in lesser-powered cars can expect drafting battles, while higher-powered machinery will test the skill and bravery of their pilots. Some of the turns are visually iconic, such as the carousel and the S's. Others, like the inner loop, the chute, and turn 9, greatly challenge even the expertly skilled. And of course, we haven't even mentioned the drastic amount of elevation change drivers experience. Between its rich history and popularity among drivers, this track stays busy and seems likely to be that way for a long, long time. Well, DJ, this is a track that seems to never fail to entertain, and I'm pretty sure today it's going to put on a good one.
Oh, it most certainly will, Joe. From the run down through the 90, all the way around, down through the heel, this is a track that's going to keep these drivers on their toes. Look for your primary overtaking opportunities be going down into the inner loop after the long run on the backstretch, and then maybe a little bit of back and forth going through the chute, the toe, and the heel, all of that section of the boot. The most important corner, though, that you've really got to get right, that's the 90. It's going to lead on to the biggest straightaway on the circuit, and you've got to make sure to get that right so as to not lose any positions.
Indeed, and positions are going to be important because we're now getting into the latter half of the season and things are shaping up, but they're also closing down. Leighton beating Johnson, who didn't have the best of races but recovered well last time, managed to minimize the damage to where he still leads. It'll be difficult today. He's actually just coming back after some surgery recently, so he's kind of struggling out there just to perform at 100%, but we wish him the best as always. Michael Bolton, about 20 points back, has been on a string of podiums. Last 3 races have all been within the top 3 for Bolton, which has put him up there. But then watch out for Chinichi. He's had a bad couple last 2 races, but you never know. In fact, once we get to qualifying, he has beaten Leighton to the top spot, at least temporarily. We'll see if that holds out. Very, very close fight between Chinichi and those behind him, all the way down to Shulam there in 7th, who's actually tied with Rondeau, who's been looking pretty fast as of late. Let's go through the race details for today's event, though. DJ, how's it looking?
Well, we are back into the sprint racing format here for tonight. So a 30-minute race preceded by a 30-minute qualifying session. We're about half of the way through here at this point. It is round 7 of 12, and we're driving those Porsche 911 GT3 Cup cars, the 992. And you'll hear me talk about this over the course of the night. No traction control, no ABS. It's going to make things very, very difficult to be able to make sure you get your power down correctly. But fixed setups around here, so that'll make things a little bit easier for the drivers.
Now, before we get to the racing, we want to remind you of our sponsors, which of course includes Porsche. There is no substitute. Find out more at Porsche.com. And Game Changer Wealth, helping you become a game changer with wealth. Contact them today at GameChangerBR.com or over phone at 225-664-2565. Now, the racing, as I mentioned, in the midst of qualifying right now. Tom Leighton had boosted himself almost more than 3/10 ahead of Chinichi, and Andrew has struck back. He is now 400ths faster than Tom Leighton. So this is going to be a good one, no doubt, as he just comes up out of the toe of the boot himself, but it doesn't look like he is on a flyer right now. So he should be able to have plenty of time to come back and try again in a bit once he gets to the start-finish line. But it looks like, DJ, the battle is really on between the pair of them.
Yeah, it certainly does. This is the throwing down of the gauntlet, it has to be said, with only a little bit of space in between the two of them. This is going to be very, very crucial, I think, not only for today, but for the rest of the series. They're going to have to try to see if they can separate themselves out at all, with, once again, 400ths of a second separating the two of them. Very, very close. Let's see if Chinichi's able to gap that a little bit more. Not going to be able to do it this time.
No, unfortunately, a little slow on that lap. Was checking through to see if anybody's on a good one, and not seeing many right now, except for a couple that have just started their lap, so it's a long ways to go. And speaking of which, I think Chinichi being one of them, he's already about a 10th down, climbing up the hill right now on screen, though. We are watching the Michelin liveried car of Cigar de Juan, who is on an outlap right now on that 5:01 machine. Dewan coming in looking for a little bit of a better result. He hasn't had a podium since round 1, and, well, he's not going to get up there with that one.
No, that can happen if you just get on the power a little bit too early coming out of that final corner. It can certainly throw you around a little bit, but here comes Leighton working his way around. I can tell you Chinichi was quicker through the first sector on that last lap. Let's see if Leighton's going to be able to respond as he dives his way now through the S's.
Andrew actually just had a 360 spin out of the chute and kept it out of the wall. He's carried on, so I guess despite heating up the tires a lot, he's going to try and keep at it here. So that was an interesting one as Leighton now comes down into the chute himself. Let's hope that this goes better for him.
Yeah, let's certainly hope he's going to be able to do it. Nice run there out of the chute. Now he can just focus in on coming down into the boot right now, getting onto the binders. You see that car pitch forward a little bit. He's able to take it well, and now he's going to bring his way back up the hill.
Right now I'm showing him just hovering about his best time, and he doesn't need a whole lot, remember. He could find himself up that one position pretty easily. Ooh, and speaking of which, Jeff Groff just improved up into 3rd place in that number 25. He's still half a second off of those top 2, so he's got a lot of work to do to get to the front row, but still a nice 3rd place position for Jeff.
Yeah, very good run there for Jeff to be able to put himself in that position, and it could be a situation where he's able to pull away and hold on to a pretty consistent podium there, so he'll be pretty happy with that. Here is Leighton. I'm not seeing any green sectors here from the number 1 machine, and indeed he's going to cross over the line about a 10th off of his best time.
Just not going to work out for him this time. Watching the others coming across here. And again, not spying anybody close to finishing a lap that looks like they're improving at this stage. Although it does look like Jad Duncan with about half a lap to go, and the number 83 is about 2/10 up on his time. See what he can do. Meanwhile, watching Michael Johnson bring it around out of turn 9. As we said, he's not at 100% health-wise right now, recovering from some surgery, but didn't want to miss more races, so he's out there trying his best, and he's only good enough for 9th right now. He is known for being a little bit of a better racer. We'll see if he'll be able to climb up through the order, especially with the slipstream. Should hopefully help him try and maybe leapfrog a few guys.
Yeah, it certainly should be able to put him into good position as he tries to do it. He's going to be able to get that draft, as you said. That's going to be absolutely crucial around here, particularly in this first part of the lap. Now, the only problem he's going to encounter is a lot of the corners on this circuit are fast and flowing. There's a lot of downforce to be generated, so he may find himself slowing down a little bit more through some of the twisty bits, but we'll have to see. Although, Joe, you've been keeping your eye here on Jad Duncan, who looks particularly quick.
Yeah, the 83 is coming out of the final corner looking like he might take half a second, which could put him up into the top 5. He sits in 11th right now. Let's see what it is. A 48.1. And yes, that's going to jump him into 4th. Honestly, from 3rd down to, it looks like about 7th place, there is only a 1/10 of a second between them.
This is absolutely crazy margins up at the top of this field. Here comes Leighton to the line right now. I see a couple of purple times. Is that going to be an improvement there? No.
Well, it was, but he's 1,000th of a second off of Shinichi. A blink of it, less than a blink of an eye. The tiniest of difference, and he would have had that pole position. There is going to be absolutely nothing between them in this race.
Absolutely nothing at all. This is going to be an out-and-out fight at the front of this field. From the drop of the green flag to the flying of the checkered, this is going to be crazy, Joe.
I am so looking forward to this. They have had such great battles. It's a shame it didn't get to go to the finish there last time out at Mid-Ohio. And Shinichi was cost a lot of points with just a really bad day. As Michael Johnson's coming back around, I'm not sure that he's going to improve on this one. His first lap was his best, interestingly, at 48.5. This one's a 48.8. So, yeah, that's not going to do it for him. He's still down in that 10th spot. We've got less than a minute and a half left. So this is going to be his last flyer. And Shinichi, who is now coming into the heel of the boot, should have enough time to reach the line and get one more in from here, but that's going to be it. And I'm not showing him on a fast lap, so it looks like he's going to give one final push.
Yeah, he's going to be trying to see what he is able to do here as he goes climbing up out of the boot right now. This is such a tricky corner to get right. You see that little bit of a slide from Leighton. That's because that track absolutely levels itself out. And now he's going to be trying to bring his way around. But here comes the number 7. Does Shinichi have anything in the bank?
It's showing him at well down from there, and it looked like he was backing it up. Yeah, that was an out lap for him. Here we go. As he starts his last flyer, they are able to complete these hot laps after the timer goes to 0. Tom Leighton now starts his final flyer as well. A showdown to see if either of them can improve. Shinichi to get away from Leighton, and Leighton to find just a 1,000th of a second to try and overtake that pole position. It won't mean a whole lot. There's no bonus points. And track position, as I said, is not as big here, but they're both going to want to have that psychological edge, and Shinichi is wheeling it.
Yeah, he certainly is. Absolutely just cranking in as much as possible to that car, trying to see what he's able to get out of it here. Shinichi wants that position.
Looking to see if anybody else is improving their time. The only one that I can see is Larry Haas right now as the checkered flag comes out. So this is it. Everybody on their last attempt. And Shulam's going to be the first one to take that checkered flag. He doesn't go any faster. We continue to watch Tom Leighton down the hill, trying not to get held up by traffic. The 12 pulls out of the way just in time. Larry Haas not going to go any faster this time either, even though it looked like he was up briefly. Looks like BJ Fulton might be close on the lap here. Tom Leighton abandons his lap, and it looks like Shinichi does as well. So those positions, or at least those times, have been set for those two. Not expecting anybody else to find anything from here. Let's see if BJ Fulton can do anything.
All right, he's got a good line there coming through the penultimate corner right now. Going to try to carry that out and around right now. Going down into the final corner right now. BJ just trying to carry as much speed as possible. I think he may be a little bit off, but let's see if he can make this run to the line.
Did he lose too much in the final sector? He did, and it's a 49.4. That's not going to be any faster for him. He's done. Looks like Mike Parsons doesn't have that last lap counted. Must have been on an out lap. And Matt Hollander can't improve on his 49.7, which I think is it. Yep, that's everybody who has been able to set a time. And qualifying is over for our drivers here in round 7. What an interesting qualifying session that we had there, with the top two absolutely streaking away. And in the end, Andrew Chinichi just had the tiniest of edges over Tom Layton to take the pole. Tom going to be starting next to him. And the slipstream is going to keep them close together regardless. But, man, they're going to probably be at each other's throats today. Jeff Groff will start from 3rd as Jad Duncan begins from P4. Then it's BJ Fulton starting in the 5th position. I mentioned Mark Rondeau. He was briefly in P2 in qualifying, but got shuffled down to 6th by the end of it. Cigar Dewan managed to put it into 7th, and Michael Bolton in P8. Brian Salehi will begin from 9th, and Michael Johnson will round out your top 10.
Starting off in 11th position, it's going to be Jeff Shulam, followed by Doug Baccignoni, with Dylan Scott and Dhruv Chwala in row 7 behind them. Mehmet Karasay lines up 15th, followed by Mark Bray. Then it's Matt Hollander and Michael Roban. Larry Haas is 19th, and Jim Slavic is 21st, with John Momeyer and Mike Parsons rounding out the back of the grid.
A nice, healthy field here today. 22 cars going to be taking part in this one. And remember, we're towards the latter end of the season, so good to see this picking up here in this series as they're going to start not with a full pace lap, thankfully. It'll be just before they return to the main circuit. And they will just have a few corners to get ready to go. It's pretty good conditions out there with the sun as low as it is in the sky. It's 6:30 p.m. virtual standard time, so only 84 Fahrenheit on the track surface itself. And there you can see the lines of cars that are lined up and ready to go.
Yeah, and a short pace lap here. You're going to have to work a little bit to get those tires up to temperature, but once they dive down into the 90, it is going to be game on for these drivers. They are not going to be able to wait around, and they are going to have to push as hard as they can to try to see what they are able to do.
So we mentioned a little bit earlier, Chinichi both has had a few bad rounds, and he missed the first 2 races, so he kind of knew he was on the back foot. They get 2 drop weeks, but now he has 3 zeros, so one of those zeros will have to go towards his score. But he's had 3 podiums in the 4 races that he has been around for, which is a pretty good strike rate. We'll see if he can back that up and get his 2nd win of the season here today over Tom Layton, the current reigning champion. Just 1 more corner to go, and Chinichi will be released by the pace car. He'll have control, but he can't go until he gets the green flag from the flag stand with Barney up there. So you're going to see them cruise for just a little bit. There goes the pace car. There's Barney with the green held aloft. It'll have to be once he waves it, and there it is. Green flag is out, and they are now on their way. Chinichi with the inside down into turn 1 will hopefully be the advantage for him. Behind them, 3 wide for 3rd place. Will they be able to get through there? No, someone gets tipped off to the side. Mark Rondeau is sent flying.
Oh, and it looks like there BJ Fulton also spun around as they go. He's going to be the one facing the other way. It looked like Jeff Groff was the one that got really taken out of that as he was pinched down to the inside. Very lucky that there wasn't a problem, but we've got a battle up for the 1st place.
Up at the top, Layton's wasting no time to go on the attack round the outside, coming into the inner loop, and he backs out of it. He knows that it's still a long race left to go. Behind him, 3rd place will be Jeff Groff down in that number 25, so he's made good on that starting position.
Yeah, he certainly has. Just is able to make it work and able to make it play there down to the inside. He's going to try to push his way up and ahead as right now we follow in. And I've got to say here, Groff able to keep everything nice and good as they go. He's not letting anybody And here comes Michael Johnson trying to make a move there on Brian Salehi.
Still full of vigor back there in the mid-pack and seeing if he could work his way forward. knowing that he didn't get the best of qualifying positions, but he's already up 2 from where he started. And on his outside, Salehi, kind of defending. He wasn't at first, and then came down late into the braking and chopped over him. Salehi will hold on to that 7th spot. It sounds like we've had a wreck behind them, though. Jim Slavic involved in an incident.
Yeah, it looks like a couple of drivers involved in that there. I think Slavic having a little bit of a problem, but that's of no concern here to these drivers up in front as Chinichi tries to stretch his legs up the front of the field here. 0.5 of a second, the gap between him and Tom Layton.
The car that made contact with Slavic was Rondeau, and remember, he was the one that was kind of punted off right in this very corner down into turn 1. Look at the pressure that Layton is keeping on Chinichi. They've gapped by about a second over Groff, so it's not major at this point, but if they keep that pace up, it's going to be a wide margin by the end. Oh, and more problems with Doug Baccignone.
Oh, that's Baccignone around, and I've got to imagine they probably just got a little bit too aggressive on the curbing coming up and over that portion of the track, and now it's going to find Tim trying to work his way back on through, but there goes Layton on by Chinichi.
This time he gets it, and that's the side of a smart driver right there. He learned his lesson from that last time and was able to make space and get through into the lead over Andrew. So is Andrew going to respond? Is this going to be a swapping back and forth, or is he going to wait patiently? There's no pit stops in this, DJ, so there isn't completely a point to sit behind and save fuel, but maybe he figures he does have the top speed over him if he does.
Well, he may just want to kind of wait back a little bit, see what his prey is going to do, see how they're going to respond a little bit, and maybe try to make a wait a little bit later on. And yes, while you're right, there are no fuel stops here. You've got to remember, these drivers do have to look after their tires a little bit around a circuit like this, Joe, and so that could be of consideration to him.
Absolutely. Poor Jim Slavic's had a rough one on this one. He didn't have another wreck, but Larry Haas was a part of that incident. Says we got another one there coming. Oh, and that must be a damaged car because he can't get it going. Michael Raban. I was going to say, don't back up into traffic there, because I was just about to say that Larry Haas came back onto the racetrack just as Slavic was trying to come by the 90 and just about ran into him. So it's been full of dramas here at the start. But look at this. Was there an issue for Chinichi? He's already a second behind.
No, I've been watching it. That is just Layton putting on the afterburners. Looks like Cigar Dewan just went off coming down through the first corner, though. A little bit of a problem there for him. Layton just got up to the lead and absolutely took off, Joe.
Oof, bad news for everybody else. And you're right, that was Dewan. In fact, he's got Michael Johnson on the back of him already. And Chinichi has Groff challenging him. Groff, a bit of a newcomer that hasn't been racing a whole lot. His first one was last time out. And now he's come back and is trying to prove himself here with a potential podium, maybe even a second place. He does have Jad Duncan sitting behind him.
Yes, he does, and that could present a little bit of an opportunity here for Jad, although Jad carries a little bit too much speed coming down through the chute, and now he's going to have to fall in line behind. That's the tricky thing about this circuit, Joe, is you've really got to make sure that you get absolutely everything right. If you carry a little bit too much speed into these corners, it's going to throw you off. You're going to lose a couple tenths of a second.
Now, before this gets too spicy, because they are far enough apart, I think we can step away for a second. We've got replays of the start of the race here. I think we're going to check out down into the 90. And you were right, it was Groff that made the contact at the very inside. Trying to see who we're watching behind here. This is one of the drivers at the very back of the field. That's the 12. Now we've jumped up a little farther forward. So there's Rondeau getting sent off. And BJ Fulton, I think the other one, down to the inside.
Yeah, and that really and truly was just a little bit of a coming together. Here is down into the corner. Oh, that was a very aggressive move there from the 11. Not sure I like that. That was Mark Rondeau trying to make up some positions there later on.
Yeah, it didn't go right at all. And I'm amazed that Slavic was able to drive away from that one as well as he did. This is obviously the moment that we had with Larry Haas. And Baccignone, ooh, big hit. And I'm amazed that that car also carried on as quickly as it did. Not sure who that was, the black and blue.
I'm not sure as well, but nevertheless, we've had some scary moments. Here's another one for Doug Boccignone. This just happened, the 59, and that's exactly what I talked about, coming up and over that corner, Joe. If you get onto the power a little bit too early,
Well, in a twist of irony, that was Larry Haas that was taken out by a car that returned onto the track a little too quickly and didn't check, so... Haas didn't take anybody else out. He made a bit of a dangerous move, but obviously I wasn't wishing that on him. Just found it sort of interesting that it wound up being the reverse that was what cost him this race as he's parked it in pit lane. Meanwhile, we fly down into the heel of the boot here with Jad Duncan not only still checking on Groff, but he's also got Michael Bolton just behind him, who's up 3 positions.
Yeah, Bolton doing a good job to move his way up through the field, and he's putting some pressure here onto the back of Jad Duncan and leading a little bit of a train. That's Brian Salehi and Michael Johnson, 2 not far behind as well. So we could see a battle. Groff going off big time through that penultimate corner. He's able to keep everything back up under him, but he can't be doing that too often or it'll come back to bite him.
Both with the incident points or a slowdown penalty right now, though. Jad Duncan is quicker than him coming down the front stretch. Is he going to be able to get down around the outside of the 90 and carry the speed? Yes, he does. And Groff now has 2 of them. Michael Bolton using that slipstream, but he can't go any farther. He's plugged up behind the car of Bolton, or of Duncan there, and now he is able to slice his way through. He could have a 2-for-1 here if he's really ambitious. 2 by 2 as they approach the inner loop, and no, Bolton's going to back out, but Salehi doesn't. He puts another one on Groff.
He's just putting some good moves down here, and Groff looks like he's falling back through the order. Oh, tried to carry a little bit too much speed there, coming down into the corner behind Bayan, and he almost ran into the back of him. Now Michael Johnson sees an opportunity for an attack, looks down to the inside of the chute. Meanwhile, that's going to be Bayan and Michael Bolton going side by side up in front.
Bolton was very wide there for a brief moment. Salehi trying to capitalize on it, but he can't get through. Johnson also unable to overtake on Groff behind him. He has Cigar Dewan approaching quickly. It's becoming quite the train here from 3rd, well on back.
Yeah, it really and truly is. It's really closing down here at this point. I mean, look at that, stretching all the way back to that Cigar Dewan there. That's all the way back down in 8th place. So quite a big train. And don't look now, but that's Jeff Shulam that could catch up as well.
It is indeed. So we could have, what is that, about 6 cars there that are all sort of clumped together. And we still have a lot of race left as they send it down into the final corner. Duncan looking like he's at least keeping them at bay for the moment. He's got a little bit of a gap over everybody else. All of them trying to get as much of a launch as they can down the front stretch.
Yeah, here they go, trying to get it. But again, you're not really going to get the pass here down into the 90. You really want to carry it around as much as possible and bring as much speed as you can here, coming up the S's and into the inner loop. That's where you want to make that pass.
We've lost a couple drivers from this race already, by the way. Rondeau, Fulton, Robon, and Boccignone have all retired. But we still have 18 cars on the track as they head towards the inner loop. Once again, Duncan starting to pull Bolton along with that slipstream. He's going to want to try and gap him a little bit more through the latter half of the course where the draft isn't as big.
Yeah, that's where he's really going to want to try to put that pressure on if as much as possible. That's where you can make up time if you are a better driver. You're going to be able to rely on the slipstream a little bit better on the longer sections of the track. But now you've really got to try to pull yourself around here just by your own braking ability.
They continue to drop off of Chinichi. It's about 4 seconds behind that P2, who's also been losing a gap to Leighton, but we'll go to that a little later. This is where the action is right now, as Salehi's getting a little close to Bolton on top of things. Doesn't try anything down into the heel of the boot. Now it's starting to look like that dirty air is affecting this group, but nobody really managing anything at this stage.
No, they're really not. Is that dirty air certainly coming back to bite these drivers pretty heartily here, it has to be said, as they're all trying to squabble on and just hold on to the best of their abilities here, coming down through that final corner right now, trying to see if there's going to be a little bit of a run. It looked like there that Bolton carried a little bit of excess speed on the exit of that final corner, but he was able to keep things together.
Indeed. Here's where you're talking about that critical turn 1 through the 90. Can anybody try and get a better launch off of here? None of those 4 really look like they have any sort of advantage. Johnson was a little poor, a little wide, though, and Cigar Dewan closes in on him because of that. Last time, Duncan started off a little bit farther ahead than Bolton, and he gained a bunch. Does he try anything? He's going to show himself in the mirrors at the very least, but he runs out of straightaway by the time they get to the chicane.
Yeah, not able to make that play there, and he's just got to be a fraction closer to be able to make that move work. We continue to watch him here as he works his way now down through the outer loop. That's where you're going to feel the most aero wash on the circuit, Joe. That's one of the fastest corners there, and you've really got to keep your car plugged in to make it work.
And remember what I said before, out of these 7 rounds, the last 3, Bolton has been on the podium. In fact, the last 2 have been second places even. So Michael would like to repeat this pattern and try to get himself past Chad Duncan here to keep this trend up. And he's had 4 over the course of the season. This has been a huge leap forward for Michael Bolton compared to previous seasons, just continually improving each and every time.
Yeah, he's doing a great job to be able to keep it all together and to be able to keep himself pushing here. And I'm very, very impressed with him at this point in the race. He's doing an absolutely fantastic job and really just weathering the storm here coming from behind from Michael Bolton.
Brian Salehi is also getting awful close to Bolton, but then backs off of it as well. Jeff Groff, who would probably like to get back up a few positions, considering he's lost 3 from the start, and I think all 3 of them were in the same lap, in fact. So he's got some work to do to try and at least get back to breaking even in this event. It's a hard-fought battle for the final step of the podium, essentially.
Yeah, it really is. That's what this battle is all breaking down to. Leighton and Shinichi are kind of off into their own league here at this point as Groff tries to be able to close in a little bit more on the back of Salehi. He's going to be getting the most benefit off of this draft train here at this point, but you can see the ducking and weaving here as they work their way around, just trying to find that clean air as much as possible.
Still nothing doing, unfortunately. They are coming across another car in front of him. Now, that is a lapped car. That's Jim Slavic, who's back out on the track after he came in and took a spare car and is back out. They've also got Larry Haas a little bit in front of them. So this could get interesting as there was a big slide there from Slavic in the behind them. There was also a look from Brian Salehi. And now we've got an attempt down the inside by Michael Bolton as he finds Duncan distracted into the toe of the boot. He manages to get to the inside, but the banking allows the 15 to try, or excuse me, the 83 to hold on, but he starts to lose momentum and just managing to jump in front of his rival and cover him off. Bolton's now into 3rd.
And that was Salehi also trying to take a little bit of a peek there if he could, but not going to be able to make it play. So he's going to look this way, he's going to look that way. Now trying to go up to the inside there of turn 9. That is such a sketchy area to try to make a move work. And thankfully, Bayern's able to get it together, but that's Michael Johnson in the wall.
Well, he was having quite the fight with Dewan. And unfortunately, it all came to naught as he had another slip up, and there's just no runoff on the exit of 9.
Yeah, absolutely not. If you get just a little bit wrong through that corner, it is day done and dusted for you. And unfortunately, that came back to bite Michael Johnson there.
He's going to carry on, so it wasn't too damaged. That was Mark Bray that just went by him as we're checking back in for that battle for 3rd. It has definitely gotten shaken up in just 1 lap's time. Bolton running away now that he's been able to pass Duncan. And obviously, we've now lost Michael Johnson from this group. And Dewan looks like he had to check up so much, he's lost touch. Here's a look to the inside from Bayern, and he decides it's not worth it for now.
Yeah, he's going to hold on to that. I think he knew he had a little bit of the overspeed and just didn't want to necessarily fully commit to that corner as much as possible. And so he's now going to find himself backing off there in a little bit and able to get his way through. Taking another look to the inside, though he's not done on the attack.
No, he wants this position, and Jad's already been overtaken once, so his resolve is probably steeled. He doesn't want to lose any more than this. He's down to P4 where he started this race. Don't want to go any farther backwards, but we're past the halfway point in this thing. So we'll see if drivers have managed to hold on to their tires. So many long corners at this place, DJ. It's going to be tough to manage the rubber.
Yeah, it's not easy, and I can tell you from experience out here that these tires, I've seen them get chewed up by this Watkins Glen circuit and absolutely have punctures and blowaways there. But there comes the move from Salehi down to the inside of Chad Duncan. He's got it done.
Poor Chad Duncan just not having a good latter half to this race, unfortunately. So he falls down to 5th now. Michael Bolton up 5 positions here onto the podium. Salehi also up 5 positions. They're trying to get a little bit of a slipstream off of the car of Larry Haas, who pulls over to the side for them. And Duncan is not able to overtake him, but if he can get the launch out of the 90, could he threaten him maybe?
He might be able to. We've said it before. This is the primary overtaking opportunity as we check back a little bit farther in the field. That's the 501 off and into the wall.
I saw him go a little wide into the 90, but it didn't look like it was too bad. And now suddenly it's gone away. So the 501, as he was trying to lap Larry Haas, just couldn't keep it out in the marbles. He gets it back on the track, but he falls to 12th.
Yeah, he's going to be back down in 12th position here at this point. Maybe a little bit of damage to the front of that car for Cigar, but now it's going to be the 08 machine. That's Dylan Scott, able to make a pretty easy move there around the outside.
Yeah, that car lacking pace. It was easy meat for him, unfortunately, for Dewan, who's going to try and come back at it. He wants those spots right away. Actually falls behind Michael Johnson even, who we saw have his incident not long before that too. So both of them, unfortunately, a bit unlucky here at this stage. Down to the chute, no change between them for the time being, or maybe it's coming off the corner. Another strong run from Dewan, but he just backs out of it by the time they hit the toe of the boot. So not sure if he's suffering from damage or what, but he keeps looking like he's got to run, and then it disappears.
I wonder here a little bit, Joe, if he's a little bit gun-shy about getting onto the throttle too early through these corners. I mean, that can certainly happen, that you just find yourself having an issue and you get into your head a little bit. You get a little bit of the yips, and I wonder if that's what's going on here with Cigar.
It could be. That could have shaken him up enough, especially coming through the 90 and how tricky it can be to try and navigate that corner. But these two still locked in battle here, and we're starting to approach the final third of the race. So they're going to have to start to decide it soon because they don't have short laps here. It's just under 2 minutes.
Yeah, they're very quick as they fly under, or very long as they fly under. But here comes Cigar making his way down to the inside. Got the better run there off of that final corner, and he's going to be able to get that position now held over. And so he's going to be ahead of Dylan Scott here and try to focus up the road a little bit on Mark Bray.
Mark Bray and the man that he was battling earlier, Mark Johnson. Will they have a repeat of what they had before, just farther down the order? We haven't lost that battle for, well, what was P3. No, it is still for P3. I thought Bolton ran away, and now Salehi's caught back up to him. That's interesting.
Yeah, looks like Byan there after Byan was able to clear by Chad Duncan, found a little bit of pace, able to put himself into a good position, and now he's going to be challenging here for that final podium position. Only about 0.3 of a second separating these two as they run.
And Groff's still in it as well, so a 4-car fight here, although he and Chad Duncan do look like at times they're having a hard time coming off the corners to try and keep up with them. That's going to make passing very, very difficult for the pair of them if they can try and keep pace with Salehi and Bolton in the end. But what a fight it's been for that third spot. Has traded hands a couple times here today, and now it looks like it might trade hands yet again if Salehi is feeling frisky enough.
Yeah, let's see if he's going to be able to want to try to put that in there, or if Byan's going to be thinking about, oh, what am I thinking? He's not going to be thinking about the points. He wants the podium position here. These are drivers. That's what they want to go for.
Exactly. In fact, I'm going to have to dig up results of Salehi. I don't think he's been here for much of the season, but clearly is looking quite quick today, and oh, yeah, he's only been around for one of them. So last race was his very first race back at Mid-Ohio, and he had a DNF. So this is going to be some redemption here. He's got the slipstream as they climb up the S's. A very good exit, and that pull gets him the inside coming down to the inner loop, but it's a drag race. Who's going to be able to break deeper? It's going to be Salehi. That slows up Bolton quite a bit, and here comes Chad Duncan. Go around the outside, maybe coming into the outer loop. No dice.
Can't get get it done, but you've got to admire the tenacity there of Chad Duncan to try to make that play. He's going to be trying to look here, maybe a little bit down to the inside, not going to get it to go. And now look who's back in this equation again. It's Groff and Duncan. We've got the same usual suspects back battling once again.
Man, great stuff from Bayern. I had not considered him to be one to watch out for, but clearly is mighty fast as he just streaked away from Bolton now that he made that pass as he outbraked him into the inner loop. Has to do this for just 8 more minutes to try and complete it and keep it on the island to take this podium finish. We haven't checked in on them for a while, so why don't we check in with Tom Layton here in that number 1, who's 5 seconds ahead of Andrew Chinichi. For all the hype that we thought that we were being fed in that qualifying session, it just dissipated once it came to the race.
Yeah, it really and truly did. Once Layton was able to pull out into the lead there, he was able to just absolutely put that right foot down and never look back. Tom Layton up running where he wants to, up at the front of the field.
And I did not think this is how it was going to unravel. I thought that they would just have a back and forth the entire time. And Layton basically just made one decisive move and never looked back. Chinichi at least will probably get a valuable second, but he's so far behind. He needs to be beating Layton in these last few rounds. So this is not looking good for his championship hopes, although he could maybe work himself up into the top 3 in the points in the end. He's still ahead of Bolton, and he's going to be ahead of Johnson, so that will help him in that regard.
Yeah, it certainly should when it comes to the points, but he's still going to want to try to get the best result that he can here out of this. And unfortunately, with a 5-second gap up to Tom Layton, it's going to be a little disheartening, I think, for Andrew Chinichi when he thinks about the championship fight as a whole.
Indeed. Another interesting story of this has been Jeff Groff. We've covered him somewhat since he's been in that battle. But again, stellar qualifying, and I don't think that lap that we saw out of him was with the slipstream. I'd have to go back and double check that just to be sure. But clearly, you know, have figured out how to find some pace in there and then just couldn't seem to back it up here in the race. But I think that surprises me more, DJ, because it wasn't that he like fell back immediately in the race. It almost kind of creeped up on him, and then eventually he slipped downwards.
Yeah, it looked like he had a pretty good start off at the get-go. Got pinched down at the beginning. Maybe that got him into his head a little bit, but he was able to respond very well and keep himself going around in a pretty good way here. And now as we follow him, I've got to say, for a debut, a 6th place, nothing to shake a stick at. This is something he can be pretty proud of.
Not completely a debut. He did show up for round 7 back at Mid-Ohio. Scored 3 points, which I think is an 8th or a 9th place. I think that's 9th place. Oh, somebody coming to pit lane. Why is Matt Hollander pitting? Is that damage on his left front there?
Maybe on the right front. That toe does look a little bit wonky there.
He does have damage because he's got a black and orange flag. So he's had a problem somewhere, but he looked like he was racing okay. I'm trying to find it, and I can't figure out where in the world he got this from.
It must have just been a little bit of a brush of the wall or a little bit of a hit there that just threw that toe out of proportion. And that can happen sometimes, even in these closed-wheeled cars. If you're not too careful about it, it will come back and bite you.
I did find it. He's gotten his spare car and he's back out, but it was lap 12. It was off of that treacherous turn 9. It caught out Michael Johnson and it caught out Matt Hollander as well. He just smacked it a little bit too hard, unfortunately. Well then, we're back in it once more. We thought that Bolton would run away. He did not. We thought that Salehi would run away. He has not. What's going to happen after this? Is Duncan going to somehow return to that 3rd position?
Joe, after watching 25 minutes of this, I'm not going to make a prediction. I have no idea how this is going to end up.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I mean, everything that looked like it was trending one way is suddenly gone backwards on us. So you just never know. It's only 4 more minutes, so we probably got about 3 more laps here since the leaders are well ahead of this group and had passed already, maybe with about 5 minutes left on the clock. As they fly down into the 90, what are we going to be seeing up towards the inner loop through the S's? Is this enough of a run for Michael Bolton? It looked like he struggled for grip going wide there.
Yeah, it looked like he struggled there just a little bit. He'll have to try to keep it together here at this point as they go. I don't know if he's going to be able to hold this out. As here comes Michael Bolton.
Yeah, he's reeling him in, but it's just a little too far back on this lap. Could be useful for later, as that reconnaissance move could give him the information he needs to know exactly how close he's got to be out of the 90 on that last lap if he wants to try and snipe him at the end. And behind them, Jad Duncan's still close enough that he can't make an ill-advised move. Is Michael Johnson managing to make a pass down into the inner loop. That's going to put him into 9th place over Cigar Dewan, who suddenly finds Mark Bray close behind.
Yeah, and Bray's going to be trying to put some pressure as much as possible here as they go. Let's see if he's going to be able to do anything on the back of Cigar. Not looking like it at the moment, but let's see what he's maybe able to do a little bit later on.
Yeah, I went back and watched that pass again. Cigar was super slow into the corner, just a little too scared about it, and locked the brakes up, trying not to wreck it as they went side by side. So that's what cost him the time on Johnson into there. Leader crosses the line just now, so it is definitely 2 laps to go.
All right, so here they go, 2 laps to try to see if anybody's going to be able to sort this one out. Let's see what everybody's got in them. There is your leader, Leighton. There is Chinichi. 2 laps to go for both of the leaders, and 2 laps to decide this very impressive battle farther back in the field.
Absolutely. In fact, Bolton is a lot closer this time. There we see it on the screen. The sun glaring off the ground as they blast past those first few corners and onto the backstretch. Bolton, is he going to attempt it this time, or is he going to hold on until the very last lap? He's showing himself. He's to the inside, but he's not moving up alongside him quick enough, and he is going to back down.
All right, he's only got 1 more chance to do that as well. Let's see if he tries it again here. May have an opportunity coming down through the chute, but you never know.
Exactly, and he is awful tight to the back of him. Yeah, this is a great opportunity. No, he does not take it.
Oh, but there he's running a little bit wide. Could that be the opportunity here for Bolton? Oh, couldn't get it done, but he may have a little bit of a shot here down into the toe.
Keeps seeming like the door is opening for Michael Bolton, but he's not willing to step through. Looks like he's looking for a high percentage move here over Salehi. Remember, Bolton's 3rd in the points. He doesn't want to throw anything away. Yes, he wants to get back on that podium, but does he dare try and give it up just for that champagne?
I don't know what he's going to be thinking about here at this point, but here comes your leader, Tom Leighton, out of the final corner to take the white flag.
1 to go for Tom Leighton. As we said a little bit earlier, it's been basically under his control since about lap 2 of this race. But that 3rd position, so up for grabs right down to the end of it. And as they exit off the final turn, they're taking it right out to the wall.
Yeah, they are pushing as hard as they can here at this point, and it's not altogether unsurprising there, as they are absolutely pushing for everything they've got. They know what's on the line.
Oh, it was a little deep for Bolton. It looked like Soleil backed up the corner to try and get the launch and keep himself safe. Now Jad Duncan has a chance to try and take 4th place back. Is this going to go the complete opposite of what Bolton anticipated? He's covering the inside, leaves the door open just a little bit. They drift back to the racing line, and no change between the 3.
No change quite yet, but still a couple of good ones to be able to run here. Let's see what they're able to do. Let's able to see if they're able to have anything else here as they go.
Back down to the chute. Doesn't look like anybody's quite close enough. Once again, Groff a little bit too far back as well. Someone's going to have to get mighty close here. There's a couple places where passes are possible, but it's becoming less and less likely here.
Yeah, it's becoming less and less likely, less and less of a chance that this is actually going to fly itself off as this race just continues to tick down closer and closer to this checkered flag. I'm not sure if we're going to see anything.
Tom Leighton as well comes around to the final 2 corners. There's the gap that you could see, as that was Chinichi in the background, just barely flicking to within view. Out of the final turn, Tom Leighton gonna get a back-to-back win here after a little bit of a hiccup earlier on. Victory in New York for him as Shinichi follows him home.
Shinichi follows him home here at this point, and here is the rest of that battle. Joe, how is this going to sort itself out?
So far, Salehi's still ahead. He's got lap traffic in the form of Karasay, but that's not going to stop him. Great podium for the number 15 to rise up 6 places and get to stand on the steps today. Bolton's got to be a little frustrated. He was just shy of keeping his streak up, and Duncan wound up in a top 5.
Yeah, good run there for Jad. Michael Johnson had that little bit of a problem. He'll be able to come home in the top 10 there to claim a 9th place.
And we're going to see 15 cars finish on the lead lap. Mike Parsons is going to be the last of them. So while they continue to trickle across the line, we're going to take a quick break here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews, so stick around.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Watkins, Glen. And this round, it was Tom Layton who took the win, but not as we expected. Basically, a close fight in qualifying gave false hopes that it would be a tight battle between himself and Shinichi, but Shinichi could only stay within about 5 seconds by the end of the race. Brian Salehi finished in P3, and he had to work for it compared to some of the field out there today. Bolton was behind him, finishing in 4th, and Jad Duncan was P5. Then Jeff Groff, who qualified extremely well, fell backwards and wound up 6th. Jeff Shulam gained 5 spots to finish 7th, as Dhruv Chawla was up 6 himself to finish P8. Michael Johnson gained 1, but could have had a little bit more if he didn't have his little slip up there, and he finished 9th, and Cigar Dewan had to settle for a top 10.
In 11th place, it was Mark Bray, followed by Dylan Scott with Matt Hollander, John Momeyer, and Mike Parsons rounding out your top 15. 16th was Mehmet Karasay, followed by Larry Haas, both of them a lap down, as was Jim Slavic. Michael Robin and Doug Boccignoni, they found a little bit of trouble out there today.
Yeah, Fulton Rondeau also DNFs in the end, which takes us to our winner here today, Tom Layton, our current reigning champion, reasserting his dominance. But we were a bit surprised as in qualifying, as we mentioned, it was only a thousandth of a second between Tom and Andrew. Tom, were you as surprised as we were that you were able to run away from Andrew that well?
A little bit. I kind of wondered if he got some damage or if his tires fell off a little bit or what. But he had really good pace in practice. He was pushing me, and then qualifying, yeah, he got me by that thousandth. So yeah, I'm happy. But I thought it was going to be tough. I thought I was going to be behind him.
Yeah, we had hyped it up so much and thought we were in for something great, and then it just kind of fizzled out. Instead, it was the battle for third that we watched for the most part. I mean, was there anything worth reporting on in your race? Because we really didn't show you a whole lot.
Well, I thought maybe Andrew was just saving his tires, or maybe he knew something that I didn't, And so I was pushing as hard as I can, and my race was just trying to have consistent good laps without making a mistake. And the tires got really hot, pressures got really high on this race, and places like the bus stop and I don't know all the other corner names, but they get pretty sketched towards the end of the race. So I was really sweating just trying to push it and keep that gap behind him.
Well, you ran a mighty pace, and having that control is going to come in handy next time out. We're going to Long Beach. Are you dreading that or looking forward to that?
Yeah, Long Beach is like, I guess technically my local track. So I'm down here in Orange County, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to, our pace lap on turn, the final turn. I'm looking forward to how that goes. And overall, it's, it should be a fun challenge.
I have to admit, I laughed when you said that. So, yeah, let's hope that you guys can make it out of that okay. Well, congratulations on a win, Tom. That was a wowing performance.
All right, thanks, guys. And I'd like to thank my sponsor, FR Sport, and thank my wife as well.
Tom Layton, your winner here today as DJ's caught up with Andrew Chinichi. We do want to hear from the other side to hear if there is a reason for the drop-off.
Yeah, Andrew, it looked like at the beginning of the race you were going to be right up there challenging with Tom, and then you unfortunately just fell back a little bit. What happened over the course of the race?
That was my pace. Maybe I heated the tires up a little too early or something like that, but I didn't do a ton of practice. And then, after the disaster that was Mid-Ohio, I just tried to make as little mistakes as possible. Tom was absolutely flying. So, yeah, congratulations to him. That was my pace.
Well, I got to tell you, it's certainly a lot better than I could do. So you've got me beat for sure. But talk to me a little bit about what the hopes are for the rest of the season. Are you going to be hoping to close down on Tom? Are you keeping your eye on those championship points?
Not so much anymore. I was a little bit in the beginning, but then I missed a race and Mid-Ohio didn't go very well. So... And I'm going away for the next 2 weeks, so I'm not going to be able to make the next race. Unfortunately, would have loved to do Long Beach, but no, I'll keep showing up, and I'm happy to. I think I'm happy if I can seal second by the end of the year.
Any concerns about Long Beach being the next one up?
I'm going to miss that one, unfortunately. I will go to the real race next weekend, but I will miss this race, unfortunately.
Gotcha. Well, my friend, anyone you would like to thank here for this second place tonight?
Yeah, big thank you to Photo Workshop Adventures. They set me up with a 3-monitor setup, so that helped me in not making contact with anybody else out there. And then Juicehead, Streamline, Titan Pacific Law, Ken Wong, DDS, and Create Emotion. Thank you all for so much support.
Well, thank you, Andrew, and we'll see you when you come on back to the series.
All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you. That was Andrew Chinichi, your second place finisher here tonight. And Joe, I believe you've been able to catch up with P3 by Salehi.
Absolutely. That definitely wowed us, up 6 spots in the race. And you had to fight off a lot of people to take that third spot. Did it feel like a Herculean effort?
Oh, yeah. Judging by the sweat all over my clothes and my head, that was one of the tougher races. Bolton gave me a run for my money, but nevertheless, we all came out in one piece and had a really fun race.
Absolutely. That was a joy to watch from our end. We had spent a lot of time talking about how close the top 2 were. We thought that was going to be where all the fun was, and it turned out it was down there in third that we spent most of the time watching. As you saw the guys catch up to Groff and Duncan and Bolton, what was your plan going in? Did you kind of think that you could get up to that third and pick them off, or was this kind of like a take it as all comes?
I had my eyes on third, just based on the pace earlier today in the practices. And I was really just trying to manage the tires because I hadn't run long stints in this car. And that's why you saw me towards the end. I got Bolton, but I was really sliding around and running out of tires. But luckily, I stayed out of trouble. There was a couple close calls. But yeah, it all worked out.
It absolutely did. You didn't have the greatest of starts last time out at Mid-Ohio. Now that we see you back in racing, are you going to stick around for the latter half of the season?
Yeah, I've been busy with some work and business, but now I'm pretty committed to the rest of the events. And yeah, you're right. I've had a few nasty events, but I'm looking to be more consistent and practice a little more and be out here.
Well, again, congratulations. That was a drive to be proud of for that third place, sir.
Thanks, Joe.
Brian Salehi, your third place finisher, which is going to wrap up our interviews for tonight. So again, we want to give a big thank you to the series for bringing us back for another season of coverage, and their sponsors, which includes Porsche. There is no substitute. Find out more at Porsche.com. And Game Changer Wealth, helping you become a game changer with wealth. Contact them today at GameChangerBR.com or on the phone at 225-664-2565. Thanks to the team today, DJ, Zach, and Dougie. Make sure to check out our social media, our website, and our merchandise store. But also don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment. The next race, Long Beach, will be Monday, April 24th at 11 p.m. Eastern, 2 weeks from now. And be sure to check out our other broadcasts that we have listed on our screen. So until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.